Hello and welcome to another segment where we talk about putting a late model Chevrolet V8 engine in an early BMW sedan. I'm Wayne Powell, the head geezer here at One Geezer's Garage. So you're interested in Chevrolet engines and putting them something else besides the car they came from? Evidently that's why you're here watching this video. This is one in a series where we're taking a late model Chevy V8 LS series engine, Gen 4 officially I think it is. This one happens to be an LH6. And we're going to put it in a BMW sedan, about a 1987 535 IS. In earlier segments, we've talked about why we chose this engine, how we've put it on a test stand, some of the things we're doing to get it rigged up. And some of you have given me some good feedback and asked some questions about, so tell me some more details about how you got this thing to run. Well, years ago, my dad told me there are only three things that an engine needs to make it run. One is it needs a fuel-air mixture, it needs some compression, and it needs a well-timed spark. So let's talk about fuel. Last time we talked a little bit about the wiring and some of the electrical system, so that's going to give us some spark. Now let's talk about the fuel system. We'll assume we've got compression. Actually, I did check the compression on this engine when I first got it just to make sure that it was good. It was a low mileage, about 17,000 mile engine, but you never know, so we checked that to be sure. All right, let's talk a little bit about the fuel system. We've rigged up a typical, we call this around here, Ozark engineered fuel system. I've got a little tank out of an outboard that normally goes with an outboard motor, goes in a boat. This is the normal outlet. I stuck a simple fuel filter on here. Inline filter, normal kind of stuff. It comes up here to a Walbro 255 electric fuel pump, high pressure, high volume pump. By the way, this fuel line is designed for fuel injection. So it's a high pressure line. It's not just your normal average everyday auto store fuel line. Comes up to a combination filter and regulator. This is actually out of a 99 and later Corvette. That's what you ask for at the Napa store. This is, as I say, a combination filter and regulator. So it comes up here and sends high pressure through this line on up to the fuel rail where the fuel injectors are. And anything it doesn't need, it recycles back through this hose, which I just drilled a hole in the top of the tank for a return. And we actually did put a fuel gauge tester, pressure tester on the fuel rail. Has a fitting, a Schrader type valve, and we plugged the fuel tester in, and sure enough it had the 58 pounds that the factory manual calls for this. To make this fit, we have a couple of fittings here. This one happens to be a 3/8, the return line's a 5/16. These are regular quick connect fittings you can find at any auto parts store. We used fuel injection line type clamps that aren't like a regular worm drive clamp that can actually damage the hose on the backside. These are smooth on the inside, and we doubled them up because this is under 58 pounds of pressure. When I first hooked it up, sure enough, I had a couple of little leaks, and you tighten it down real good, and that takes care of that. This is a fitting that is a Dorman number that actually snaps in. This is a quick connect snap in here. Another one of these fittings here for the hose that has the hose barb. Not planning on using this at this particular length on the vehicle, but it was the only thing I could find that had the right fittings on each end at the local auto parts store. So that runs on up to the fuel rail, and it works great. This fuel pump, you'll watch it cycle up. When you first turn the key on, after the engine starts, you can see there's a constant flow coming up to this regulator and then back into the tank. So that's really, that's all we had to do. Some standard connections, this Corvette type filter regulator. I will mention that some LS1s use a two-line system where both the pressure line and the return line go all the way up to the fuel rail. There's a regulator there, and the unused, unneeded fuel comes back. The advantage of that is that you have cool fuel all the way up to the engine all the time. But this one's much simpler, and evidently General Motors thinks this works just fine because that's that's actually what came on this engine and what is used on Corvettes since '99. Not much more to tell you about the fuel system. So we've talked a little bit about the electric and a little bit about the fuel system, and next time we'll talk a little bit about the vehicle that all this is going to go in and why we decided to do this project to begin with. So tune in again next time to One Geezer's Garage. I'm Wayne Powell, and follow along in the progress.